family, this is Megan Boat, aka Childhood Vegan Saram. So have you ever had a roommate, a friend, a family member, just someone in your inner circle who had a test to take that day, a very important test, and then you like made them seaweed soup? Hey, I made you some seaweed soup to wish you good luck on your test. And then they like punched you in the face. Oh, you haven't? Neither have I. And let's keep it that way, okay? I don't think I should have used real water. Alright, of course I'm being very, very dramatic. Nobody's gonna punch you in the face. But in Korea, there are some very interesting and very punny gifts that people like to give at certain times. And there are certain superstitions about gifts that you don't give during certain times. Excuse me, sir. And I've always been so fascinated with cultural differences and how things are so different, even down to something as simple as gift giving. So I thought I would take the time to go over all of the gifts that you give in Korea and when you give them, so when you come here you can give gifts like a pro, hun, and you don't make certain gift giving mistakes. So let's start. So the first one you already know is about tests. And there's the most important test that Koreans have to take. Like, everybody is so stressing, the whole country literally comes to a standstill during this test. It's called the Suneung. So it is the Korean college entrance exam. And it is so serious, okay, that during the English listening portion of the test, airplanes are not allowed to take off or land. So during that time period, no airplanes are allowed to be anywhere like around taking off or landing, because maybe some students can't hear it and they're only allowed to hear it once or twice, I don't know. And actually every company is required by law to have their employees go in an hour later to relieve some of the traffic in the morning, because if children come late, they can't get into the test late. Also, it's so serious that people can sign up to drive the young adults to the test place. So they call them like the test shuttles. And also, if you're running late, police officers also even pitch in and help out to take the students to the test sites. So what are some gifts that you don't give during the test? As we talked about, anything slippery, because just like in English, when you describe something as being slippery, like a slippery slope, you know, it's not associated with a positive thing. But what they do that's very funny is they use a word called puta. ¿Cómo me llamaste? Puta is another way of saying, like, you know, you kind of passed the test. But there's a word that also means to stick. Like puta puchida also means to like stick. So to be a little bit punny, they give gifts that are sticky. And one of the stickiest things in Korea that's so delicious that I can't have right now, because you know I'm training for the bodybuilding competition, which is why I've kind of been MIA because I'm like really tired. And that is rice cake. Especially yakbap, because it's like a rice shape, and then like it's got like little pieces of rice in it, and like cinnamons and sugars and like chestnuts. I'm like, oh my god, it's so good. But for the test, they usually give chapsarduk, which is like the glutinous rice one, which is like super sticky, because they want you to pass the test. How funny is that? And not only do they give you chapsarduk, they give you yup, which yup is like a Korean, it's basically taffy. Another punny gift that people will give. Oh, there was not enough tissue on that roll. I thought it was gonna roll all the way down and be like really dramatic, but they give toilet tissue, and that's because when you solve a problem, they use the verb purda. Purda, like how you can like unroll the toilet tissue, like purda. So you can solve all of the problems on the test well. They give you toilet paper. Have you ever gotten a fork as a gift? Because if you're a student taking a test, you just might. And the reason is, it's because there's another punny gift, is a fork. Because in Korea, when you stab something, you chikda. But it can also mean that you choose the correct answer. So they might give you something forky that you can pokey things with as a symbol for you to just choose all the right answers. And of course, it doesn't have to be a solid fork. It could be a fork-shaped something, like a fork-shaped, you know, chocolate or something that you can poke or stick with, you know. So I'm sure there are more, but anyway, these are some that you should know. So if you have any friends, if you're here, especially if you're a college student, even if it's not the Suneung, if someone has a big test to like get into grad school or something, it'd just be nice to give them some type of gift. Look at my fork, it's got peach from Cacao Friends on it. And since we were talking about toilet paper before, another thing is when people have housewarmings, which is called 집들이, then what you would give people is you would give them toilet paper as well, because purda is also to solve and to unroll, but also it's like how situations roll out too, so that all of the happenings can unravel greatly. Yeah. I noticed in general when people have housewarming parties here, they don't want you to feel like too burdened that you have to bring this like super expensive like home appliance or something. They just kind of want people over for the fellowship, I guess. So if you didn't want to bring toilet paper, then you could just bring stuff that you guys are going to eat when you go there, like, you know, fruit or something like that. That's usually acceptable and it's okay, so you don't have to worry too much about that. And what I noticed is in Korea, if you give too big of a gift, like for a situation, people kind of feel burdened, because in Korea they're about like a give and take society. Like if somebody gives them something, they kind of always want to give you something back, like of equal value in return. So if you give them such a huge gift that you're not supposed to, then they kind of feel burdened. One, that you spent so much money on them, but also like, oh, you know, I'm gonna have to give them back something bigger than what we would have normally given. You get what I'm saying? This is a random one that you probably will never have to experience, because most of you watching are not Korean and you do not have Korean parents. But I'm gonna tell you anyway, because I think it's freaking interesting. In Korea, most of the time when people grow up, they don't do the whole part-time job thing. Like, you know how us, like in America, we're like always trying to be free and liberated somehow, because our society values that kind of independence a little bit more. So as soon as we can, like people, when I was growing up, people 14 years old working at Chick-fil-A already, like that was the youngest age you could get a job, and it was always Chick-fil-A. Waffle fries, man. Waffle fries and that barbecue sauce. So good. And in Korea though, of course they want their child to be able to be self-sufficient, but because in Korea they're at school all day and all night, there's no possibility or chance for them to be able to have a part-time job, because in high school in Korea, when you get out of school, you have to stay there until 10 p.m. to study. But they don't really have time to get part-time jobs until they graduate from college. And at that point, most people here have gotten their first job after they're 20-something, and their first job is like their freaking career. So as a result, their parents give them everything and provide everything up until that point. So when people get their first job, they get their first paycheck, they want to do something for their parents. But it's a very interesting cultural thing. I'm not quite sure why, and I asked some people and they're not quite sure why either. But the traditional kind of gift that a lot of people would give their parents after they got their first paycheck was, can you guess? Long underwear. Yes, long johns, bruh. That's what you give your parents for all those years of hard work and sending your butt to school and to academy. You give them long johns. I don't know why, it's just kind of what people do. And I thought it was an interesting thing to share, so I thought I would share it. But nowadays, many people don't give long johns. I heard many people will just cut them a check. So this next gift is interesting because you guys know that I'm 29 now. I mean, I don't look it right. I mean, I look still pretty youthful, right? A lot of my friends that I know that are a little bit older than me, you know, they got married, and, you know, they've got children, and like everyone's children is like turning 1 now. And in Korea, there's a big birthday party. It is the first birthday party, 돌잔치. At these, what do you think you give as a gift? You know, you're like, okay, you know, it's a 1-year-old child. In Korea, the child is 2, because remember in Korea, when you're born, you're 1-year-old, and then every year after that, you gain another year. Did you answer gold ring? Well, you're correct. So culturally, they would give little tiny gold rings to the babies, and they're called a 돌반지, like, you know, birthday ring, little tiny gold rings. And I actually gave a 돌반지 once. They're made out of gold. They're very, very, very expensive, and the price of gold has skyrocketed in recent years. So actually many people don't give those rings anymore. They just kind of give you the cash, because the gold is so expensive, and raising a kid here is just freaking expensive. So people would just rather have the money than have a gold ring that they're gonna melt down and make another piece of jewelry for the child for later. This year, okay, next month I have a 돌잔치, and the month after that I have a 돌잔치, and both of the babies' name are Yur, which I'm kind of sour about, because Yur was my favorite baby name. So when I have a baby here, because you guys know I'm getting my Korean green card, so I'm gonna be here. When I have a baby, Yur is my favorite name. So I'm like, are there gonna be 3 Yurs? I don't know. It depends on what my future husband thinks, but that's my favorite name. So I'm salty that you guys stole my favorite name. Both, and they're friends too. So it's like there's 2 Yurs. There's Kwon-yur and Sun-yur, and they're both really cute, and they're both turning 1. Yes, your email will try and be there. I might be at my green card classes, but I'm gonna send you that money though. Best believe. So I talked about sending money even if you're not going. to an event. So for first birthday parties, if you're not gonna give a ring, you just send the money, right? You send the money. And it's the same thing for weddings. Actually, Korean weddings, they invite everybody and their mama. If you work at an office and somebody gets married, they're gonna invite everybody from the office to go. Literally, I've been invited to weddings for people that I had one like TV show project on, and I'm like, bro, are you saying like I don't even really know you? But that's just kind of how it is in Korea. Weddings are more of a village affair, so to speak, because back in the day, like literally the whole village would come in support of weddings. So that mindset is still there. So people will invite you to weddings. You don't necessarily have to go, but it is a good idea to maybe send them some money, usually around the range of maybe 50 bucks or so. And it's nice because when you have a wedding, you know, you're gonna spend a lot too. So think about all the money that you've given to people for weddings. Like you invite them to your wedding, more than likely they will send you money too. Probably the same amount of money that you sent them. You're gonna be invited. If your coworker invites you, give them at least 50 bucks. If it's somebody you're super close to, maybe 100 plus. Now, here's an interesting thing and a mistake that, I've been talking too fast. A mistake that maybe is possible to make. And that is with giving of envelopes, because in Korea, when they give money, they put them in these little white envelopes, okay? And these white envelopes always have hanja on it. And if you don't know what hanja is not Hangul. Hangul is the Korean writing system, right? And hanja is, before they used Hangul, they used hanja because at that time they didn't have their own writing system, so they used Chinese characters. And then Sejong Taewon came and he made Hangul. So that's why they celebrate Hangul Nar, etc. Because they finally had their own writing system. They didn't have to use Chinese anymore. So actually one time, I don't remember who it was, but some coworker somewhere, I've had like 1,000 jobs here, some coworker somewhere, and I gave them an envelope, but it actually was the incorrect envelope. And the reason is because in Korea at funerals too, you give money. If you get invited to a funeral, you want to do the same, bring like 50 bucks. But the thing is, the envelopes are all written in hanja, and there's like 1,000 different things that could be written on it. So I didn't know, so it was like, okay, this is a money envelope. But the money envelope I gave said buoy, which apparently is something along the lines of condolences or whatever. And this person knew. They knew hanja. Why? Because most Korean people don't really know hanja like that. But this person was like, oh, you know, this is like a condolence envelope, right? And I was like, my bad, bruh. She's like, what, you don't like the person I'm marrying? I mean, I knew he was a playboy, but damn, you don't gotta give me a condolence envelope. So this is what I have learned. There's two types of money you give. Chugikum, which is congratulations money, and choikum, which is like condolence money. And this is what I've learned, even though I don't know the Chinese symbols, the hanja. Choikum will almost always have only two symbols, two. Buoy, dang dang. Dang dang, dang dang, they're all two. But jugikum will always have three. So maybe it says like jukyoron or something, right? It always have three. If it's two, it's boohoo. If it's three, it's jubilee. So that way you don't give someone the wrong envelope. Even though a lot of people don't really know that hanja, but some people will, and they might be confused as to why you're giving them a congratulations envelope when their grandmother passed away. And it might be awkward, so I just thought you should know. Another thing is, if you go to a Korean wedding and you don't give money, you do not get to eat at the wedding buffet, because it's literally set up to where there's people, workers at the wedding hall who have boxes and they have envelopes there. So if you go to the wedding or to the funeral, they have the appropriate envelopes. You don't have to worry about it. It's just if you go out and buy your own, you might have to look for the 2 and 3 symbols. So you go there, you put the money in the envelope, you write your name on it, you put it in the box, and then you get the buffet ticket. Just so you let you know, because those buffets are expensive, and if everybody just went for the buffet and didn't give money, then I'm sure the bride and groom would like go into debt. And nobody wants to start their marriage into debt, because I heard that like money is like one of the biggest reasons for divorce. But anyway, let's not go into that. So anyway, I hope that you learned a lot. I hope that you enjoyed that video. If you like this video and can see more videos, please subscribe to my YouTube page, which is down below. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, like me on Facebook. I will see ya. And of course, if you have any questions about things that you've seen in like Korean dramas and you want to know, do people really live like this? Like, what is this? Or is this just the Hollywood syndrome where things are exaggerated? If you have any questions, just ask me down below and I will try and answer them for you.